Hello and welcome back to the channel, and in today's review I'm going to be taking a look at the just released Transformers Bumblebee 3A Deluxe Scale Collectible Blitzwing. If you're in the market for picking up one of these figures, then I definitely recommend that you check out Showz's store. They offer extremely fast shipping and are an extremely trustworthy and very reliable company to deal with. Links down in the description box below will be included of where you can purchase this figure, as well as the wide range of other collectibles all over at Showz's store. Back to the review now, and as you can see, this is a gorgeous piece of artwork of the actual 3A Deluxe Class Blitzwing figure, which you would probably be mistaken in thinking that this is actually a screen render from the actual Bumblebee movie. As you can see, the image looks awesome. We've got the Transformers text, Transformers Bumblebee Deluxe Scale Collectible figure, and then on the side of the packaging we've got Blitzwing with a Decepticon insignia. And then turning around now to the back of the packaging, there really isn't much going on here. We've just got the Transformers Bumblebee Deluxe Scale Collectible figure and a larger image of the Decepticon insignia. And here we have the 3A Deluxe Blitzwing opened up and out of his packaging, and doesn't the figure look absolutely tremendous? This honestly is really just an amazing representation of Blitzwing based on his appearance from the Transformers Bumblebee solo movie. All the way around, this figure just looks as if though he has leaped straight off of the screen and into plastic and die-cast form. This figure really does look incredible, and honestly 3A are absolutely nailing this brand new deluxe scale, as usually we tend to get the larger, more expensive premium versions. These ones are slightly smaller and are at a slightly lower price point, but nevertheless the detail on these figures is still just as good as their larger, more expensive premium version. Now, before I really get deep into the review of taking a look at the figure himself, I'm first of all going to showcase all of the accessories that this figure comes with. Much like 3A's original deluxe scale Bumblebee, Blitzwing does in fact include the exact same base that we got with that Bumblebee figure. However, now instead of having the yellow text, it has now been replaced with the 3A Transformers Bumblebee in red text. Personally, I would have much preferred it if it was perhaps Transformers Blitzwing, as it would have made this more distinguishable for the Blitzwing figure, but nevertheless the detail and sculpt work on this is really nice. It definitely does look very Cybertronian in its construction, and it is a really very sturdy and very posable display stand. Now, unfortunately, I do have a slight issue with mine, and that's the sense that this section here should push down to pull this section down. It is very difficult to do, as you can see. It literally does not want to budge, which is a shame, seeing as my Bumblebee version works extremely well. But once again, you've got the same locking mechanism of this section. If you push this down, it will lock into whatever positioning. This is supposed to raise and collapse by this thing. However, it takes extreme force to pull this down, and I do imagine I will probably break it. And then this section here pulls out, and you are able to swap it into different positions. If you do want to see a closer look at this display base, I definitely recommend checking out my Deluxe Bumblebee review, as I go into more in-depth detail about this base there. The next accessory that we have is Blitzwing's Null Ray Blaster that we see him use against his fight with Bumblebee towards the first act of the Bumblebee movie, and this has once again also been sculpted and detailed incredibly well. All of these kind of gunmetal pieces really do look as if though they are metallic in their material. The paintwork on this is just absolutely tremendous. I really like the smaller details, such as the red sections in there, and all of the sculpt work is just absolutely magnificent. We've also got the missiles here, which are actually detachable. They do come as a separate piece when you assemble this upon first opening the figure, but I really like the panel work here. It does definitely look as if though it has transformed out of Blitzwing's arm, and you can see the kind of wash that they've put over the top to make it look weathered. And it definitely does look like a very interesting piece. Another weapon of sorts that Blitzwing comes with is the weapon that he does use to extract Bumblebee's voice box. This too has been detailed and sculpted incredibly well, and you can actually make out the hand of Blitzwing kind of transformed and wrapped over this section, which wasn't evident in the movie. I do believe they are calling this the Electron Spike or something similar to that. But the paintwork and the sculpting and detailing on this really does look incredible. And the figure does come with a pair of more sprayed out, more dynamic, dramatic, open palmed hands, which too have got some amazing sculpted in detailing and paintwork. He also comes with a pair of more relaxed hands, which I guess you could just pose for general displaying options. And then finally, he does come with a pair of fisted hands, which I guess you could use when posing Blitzwing with the Deluxe Bumblebee. Now, turning to the detailing of the figure, I have in fact turned the lighting on my actual camera so that you can see in more depth the detail of this figure, as he is really quite dark in his character design. As you can see, the head sculpt looks absolutely tremendous. There is so much sculpt work going on with the head. It really does look incredible. Originally, I did believe his eyes were in fact painted red. However, they do appear to be more of a transparent, really dark red plastic, as he does actually have an LED function, which I'll showcase later. So if they were painted, the LED would not shine through as greatly as it does. I really like the kind of gas mask that he's got. It definitely does evoke a sense of a pilot, which of course Blitzwing did obtain a jet alternate form in the movie, so this does look really awesome. Checking out a side profile on the figure, as you can see, he's got some amazing detailing, and he's even got a kind of crest at the back, which I think looks absolutely tremendous. He also has this neck collar, which has been detailed and sculpted really nicely, and is of a rubbery type of plastic, so it does move out of the way to accommodate the articulation, which I'll showcase later. Moving down now to the torso area, this too has also been detailed and sculpted incredibly well. There are so many different paint apps on this figure to really accentuate the design. I really like the very complex looking design of the cockpit. As you can see, it kind of ends up here on this top section and then breaks its way down to the main torso section. It definitely does look more of a complex design than we saw in the Bumblebee movie film, and there are some really nice realistic decals on this figure just to make him look that much more realistic. I really do like the kind of vents that are on his shoulders. These are definitely very reminiscent of what you would see on a real life jet, so it is great to see these dispersed in his robot mode, and his shoulder armor is also really nicely done. And once again, there is amazing sculpt work all over this figure, which just makes him look that extra more realistic. Checking out the detail on the figure's forearm, as you can see, this too has also been detailed incredibly well. There is so much mechanical detailing on here and sculpt work that it really does look tremendous, and the paint apps applied just make it look so realistic. This figure does have die-cast, however it is in the internal frame, so none of the die-cast elements are necessarily out. So all of this, as you can see here, is in fact plastic, so that is just how great ThreeA's paintwork really is. The back of the arms also look incredibly well. You've got the jet panels that distribute and align up, which looks great, and I've already covered the detailing on the fingers. They too look awesome. And there is a very complex design here going on for the lower torso region, and the legs also look phenomenal. You've got all these different nuts and bolts throughout him, and it really does look great. The whole of the figure has been given this dirty kind of wash over the top, I guess, to make it look weathered and realistic. And then moving now down to the shins of the figure, this is really where you can kind of see the jet distribution. You've got the USAF emblem on the side, as well as these intakes at the back, which all look absolutely fantastic. And all of this here is also detailed and sculpted incredibly well. Even on the inside of the figure's thigh, this too has also been sculpted magnificently well. And then the feet of the figure too have also been detailed and sculpted really nicely. As you can see, you've got the landing gear distributed where the toes would be. So overall, for detail and sculpt work, this Blitzwing figure is absolutely incredible. Turning now to the back of the figure, as you can see here, we have the figure's wings. And the wingspan is really quite impressive in person. I will bring out some comparisons later on. But you can see more details of the back of the figure's head, which looks amazing. And here you've got the fuel burners underneath there, as well as on the bottom of the legs. And then just bringing this in for a closer look, as you can see, the figure is honestly just as detailed on the back as it is on the front. There's loads and loads of small decals on the back of the wings, which all look very realistic. And the paintwork on this figure is honestly really impressive. Turning now to the figure's articulation, the head is on a ball joint in two places. So there is a ball joint just where the neck is and just beneath the neck, which allows you to get a magnificent range of motion out of the head. You really can pull this figure in whatever positioning you want with the head. It is very expressive, and you are able to make him look down or look up or tilt side to side, as well as look left and right. And as I stated, this section here is of more of a rubbery, more pliable plastic, so will accommodate any poses you decide to get the head in. Turning now to the arm section as well as the torso, this is really where there is so much articulation that honestly I don't think I have discovered it all. So first of all, these panels here are in fact on hinges, so you are able to lift these up and down as you so choose. This kind of helps to exaggerate the movement of the arm if you want the arm in an outright positioning, so that is great. However, they do not rotate forwards and backwards. This whole shoulder piece here is on a ball joint as well, so separate joint, so it can move forwards and backwards as well as lift up and down, which is fantastic. And there is a small flap here that you will need to open in order to prevent knockage and damaging of the paint for the arm. So the arm can move all the way out just like so to a really awesome degree, as well as move forwards and backwards. However, you will be obstructed by the wings, so the wings are in fact able to move out to the sides in order to accommodate for a greater range of articulation. So you can move the arms outwards, forwards and backwards. There is also a rotation at the bicep section, so you can rotate the full 360 degrees if you so choose. Turning now to the forearm section, these two are incredibly articulated. So there are in fact two hinge joints. There is one underneath here and then one major one here. So you are in fact able to accomplish a double elbow joint, which really does help for posing and really helps you to give some personality to this particular character. And just beneath that, there is also a very stiff rotation joint. However, you will have to be wary of this piece that you don't knock it and break it. The hands are also on ball joints, so they can rotate the full 360 as well as hinge forwards and backwards as well as up and down. So that is really great to see as well. And now turning to the torso articulation, this is where things can get slightly messy. So I highly recommend that you pay attention to this segment. In order to get the full range of motion out of the waist, I recommend lifting these sections up as well as lifting this flap here. This will just prevent you knocking any of these pieces into the rest of the figure, as it can be quite delicate due to all of the points and the very complex looking design. So you essentially here, from what I can gather, have an ab crunch which is situated here, and then you have a rotation joint here and maybe another ab crunch in this section. So just demonstrate that. As you can see, you can take this whole section here and crush this forwards just like so. So you can get this to lift up and down on that joint. And then there is also a second ab crunch down at the base, which you could also utilize in order to get him looking down even further. This does work for the back as well. However, the flaps will bump into these sections, so I don't necessarily recommend you pushing the back all of the way. But then you also have a rotation joint just below this section here, which allows you to move him left and right. However, once again, you are fairly obstructed by these flaps here. Now, in order to get the full range of articulation in the legs, I do recommend folding down these hip sections. The instructions do fully showcase this as well. So this is really just so that you don't snap these pieces off. But once they are out of the way and you do lift the arms up, you are able to allow the figure to do the splits to a fantastic degree. You can also get them to move forwards. However, I recommend moving this section up, move forwards all the way outwards, just like so. It could probably go even further. However, I do not want to force it on my figure. And they can also go backwards to a great degree as well. There is also a rotation joint where the thigh section would be, as well as a magnificent double knee joint. So in order to do this, you just have to simply bend the knee and moving the wings out the way, you can really get him to kick well over 90 degrees. This is a fantastic knee joint and something which I wasn't even expecting on a figure of this design. It really is quite impressive how they have designed this. And once again, there is some great detailing in the joint itself in order for it to look very realistic and movie accurate. And then finally, turning our attention to the feet, these once again are also extremely articulated. So these can pivot forwards just like so, as well as backwards, and they can also pivot from side to side in order to accomplish an ankle rocker joint. And there is also articulation even at the landing gear. They are able to swivel all of the way around, which is a really nice added touch of detail. Now, turning our attention to the back of the figure, as I stated, the wings are in fact articulated. So they are on metal rods, so they are able to swivel forwards and backwards just like so in order for you to angle them upwards more or angle them down slightly. And they can also flap inwards as well as outwards to give him a more dynamic look. These sections here are on ball joints, however they are very stiff and do tend to pop off quite easily, so I don't necessarily recommend moving them unless you have to in order to accommodate articulation. Now, in order to switch out the arm of Blitzwing for the Null Ray Blaster, it is exceptionally easy. Essentially all you want to do is just gently swivel this section off and it will ply off extremely easily just like so. The rod is in fact die cast, so you do not necessarily have to worry about breaking it. And then on the inside of the Null Ray Blaster there is in fact a slot that will once again just realign up and just slide that in just like so. And there you have Blitzwing's Null Ray Blaster. So this definitely does give you a different look for the figure, and was a weapon that we did see him use in order to fight off against Bumblebee with in the film. Switching out the hands is fairly easily, seeing as they are on ball joints, so they literally do just pop off. And taking the voice box remover, it does just have a plug that you just want to snap into place just like so. And there we have Blitzwing deploying his energon or electron spike that we see him use in order to make Bumblebee voiceless, and you can see the hand that has kind of morphed and wrapped around the spike, which I think looks really, really impressive. Now, as stated earlier, Blitzwing does in fact have an LED feature in order to further accentuate his authenticity. In order to activate this, the batteries are in fact stored within the head, and it is the exact same procedure as the Deluxe Bumblebee. This whole section pops off and you just slot the batteries in. But the button on Blitzwing is literally placed straight in the front and center. So just push this and you will activate the red LED lights, which are very subtle. However, if you get some very good angles and photos of this, it definitely does look very realistic, and I really think it's a very nice added touch by ThreeA, as they do look absolutely amazing when switched on. And for a very quick ThreeA Deluxe size comparison, here is the newly released Blitzwing compared next to the Deluxe Bumblebee, also from the Bumblebee movie. Personally, I think the scale here works absolutely tremendously. These really are a great set of figures, and I'm so glad that ThreeA have in fact released the deluxe scale for a more smaller, more confined collection, as whilst the premium figures are very, very impressive. They're not very fun and enjoyable to pose around. These figures here are a lot more manageable, and you do find yourself getting a lot more enjoyment, at least I do, out of having smaller figures, and I don't think that the detail is diminished by the smaller size whatsoever. These look just as good as the more expensive premium scale figures, and I think that they look great together as a companion piece. So that is my review on the brand new Transformers ThreeA Deluxe Scale Collectible Blitzwing based on his appearance from the Bumblebee movie. If you haven't guessed already, I once again think that this is another fantastic entry by ThreeA. This is our first time ever getting a proper figure of Blitzwing from the Bumblebee film. I have no idea why Hasbro haven't made one yet, as Blitzwing was one of the best designs to come out of that film, and I think ThreeA have done an amazing job in replicating this figure. He feels amazing in terms of plastic and die-cast quality. He really does have a great weight to him, and I think that the detail as well as the articulation on these ThreeA Deluxe figures is just tremendous. The engineering of how everything works in order to move out of the way, I think has been done really, really nicely, and I think that he comes with a great range of accessories. He comes with everything that you would expect him to come with: the null ray blaster, the electron spike, as well as various other hands in order to give him some more expression. The LED function too is also really well done, and he looks great when displayed next to the Deluxe Bumblebee. Once again, if you are in the market for a ThreeA Deluxe Scale Blitzwing, I highly recommend that you check the links down in the description box below, where you'll be taken to Showsy's store of where you can pick up this figure. Their shipping is exceptionally fast, and this figure comes packaged in amazing transit packaging. They really do look after their customers, and all of their products are shipped out and protected in incredible circumstances. I hope you enjoyed this review. If you did, please let me know down in the comment section below, and until my next review, I'll see you then. Thanks for watching.